Every dreamer has felt the weight of waiting, waiting for the right time, the right mood, or the right opportunity. But let me tell you something powerful. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right moment to act. They tell themselves they'll start when they feel ready, when they have more confidence, more clarity, or more time. But the truth is, those feelings rarely come before action. They come because of it. Momentum is born the instant you decide to move, and every step you take, no matter how small, begins to change everything around you. The greatest obstacle is not the lack of knowledge or talent, but the habit of waiting. Waiting kills dreams. Action revives them. When you begin to move, even in uncertainty, something extraordinary happens. Your mind, once clouded by fear and doubt, starts to open. What seemed confusing begins to make sense. What seemed impossible begins to take form. It is as if life responds to your movement by aligning opportunities, people, and ideas in your path. That is the power of momentum. You cannot think your way into progress. You must act your way into it. Thinking without action becomes paralysis. You can spend weeks or even years planning the perfect moment, but progress only comes to those who dare to move despite imperfections. Action is a form of self-belief. It is a declaration to the world that you are ready to create your own destiny instead of waiting for it. When you act, you send a message to your subconscious mind that you are in control, that you trust yourself to figure things out along the way. Each time you take action, you silence the voice of fear a little more and strengthen the voice of courage. It's not about having confidence first. It's about building confidence through motion. Confidence grows when you see yourself doing what you once thought you couldn't. Momentum doesn't start with grand gestures. It begins quietly. One choice, one step, one decision to move forward. The small things you do consistently every day have far more power than the big things you do occasionally. Writing a single page, making one call, taking one small step, these actions seem insignificant at first, but over time they create unstoppable force. The law of momentum says that once an object is in motion, it stays in motion. Your life follows the same law. Once you push past the resistance of starting, movement becomes easier. The hardest part of any journey is the beginning, breaking through the inertia of hesitation. The mind loves comfort. It wants to protect you from risk, embarrassment, and failure. But growth never happens in comfort. You must choose discomfort over delay, movement over fear. The moment you do, you begin to separate yourself from the masses who are still waiting for the perfect time. Action is rare, and that's why it's powerful. Those who act are the ones who shape the world. Every successful person you admire began not because they had all the answers, but because they took the first imperfect step. They stumbled, they failed, but they learned, adjusted, and kept moving. Momentum doesn't mean speed, it means consistency. It means showing up day after day, even when the results are not visible yet. It's the discipline of progress, knowing that every bit of effort compounds silently until one day it all adds up into something great. When you act, you shift your focus from fear to purpose. The mind cannot hold two dominant emotions at once. Fear freezes you because it focuses on what could go wrong. Action frees you because it directs your attention to what you can do right now. Movement breaks the illusion of fear because the moment you take a step, you prove that the danger was never as real as your imagination made it seem. Each time you move forward, you weaken fear's grip on your life. The secret is not to wait for inspiration, it's to act your way into it. Action itself creates the feeling of motivation. You don't need to feel ready. You need to start. The emotion you're looking for will follow the movement you create. You will never know the full path before you begin, but that's how life works. The road reveals itself only to those who start walking. Clarity doesn't come before the first step, it comes because of it. You must learn to trust momentum more than mood. Moods are temporary. They change like the weather, but momentum builds like a storm. Once it gathers force, it becomes unstoppable. That's why the first step is always the most critical, because it breaks the stillness that holds you back. Once you've taken it, the second step becomes easier, the third even easier, and before long, you are moving with power, driven not by pressure but by purpose. Every act of effort becomes a brick in the foundation of your progress. Over time, you begin to see that success is not a single event but a series of consistent movements compounded over days, weeks, and years. Each day that you choose to act, you strengthen the habit of persistence and weaken the habit of procrastination. And when that happens, life starts to open in ways you never imagined. People notice your consistency. Opportunities find your energy. The world begins to reflect your movement. Force yourself to take that first small action today. Not tomorrow, not when things feel perfect, but now. Because the truth is, you will never feel fully ready, and you don't have to be. The magic is not in being ready, it's in being willing. Once you move, momentum will meet you halfway. Once you commit, the universe begins to cooperate. Every great change in your life begins with a moment of decision followed by immediate action. That is how momentum begins, and once it starts, it has the power to change everything. Every person who has achieved greatness has faced the same invisible wall, the pull of emotion versus the command of discipline. There are days when you feel unstoppable, ready to conquer every challenge in front of you. But then there are days when the weight of fatigue, doubt, and laziness settles in, whispering that you deserve a break or that your goals can wait until tomorrow. This is where most people surrender, not because they lack ability, but because they mistake feelings for direction. Emotion wants comfort. Discipline demands growth. The difference between success and mediocrity is decided in the moments when you act, not because you feel like it, but because you said you would. Discipline is the muscle of the mind. Like any muscle, it grows through resistance. Every time you choose to act when your emotions resist, you strengthen that muscle. You learn to control yourself instead of being controlled by impulse. Emotion is fleeting. It changes with the weather of life. But discipline is constant. It is the anchor that keeps you steady when your feelings try to sway you off course. The greatest victories in life are won in silence, in those private moments when no one is watching and you choose to keep going anyway. Most people wait for motivation to strike before they act. They tell themselves they'll start when they feel inspired, when they're in the mood, or when everything feels right. But the truth is, motivation is unreliable. It's a spark that appears and disappears without warning. Discipline, on the other hand, is the fire you build with your own hands. It doesn't depend on conditions, it depends on commitment. When you live by discipline, you no longer wait for the right mood to take action. You act, and the right mood follows. Discipline is the art of doing what must be done even when it's inconvenient. It means getting up early when you'd rather sleep. It means showing up when you don't feel appreciated. It means keeping your word to yourself long after the excitement of the goal has faded. Every promise you keep strengthens your integrity and self-respect. Every time you break one, you weaken your trust in yourself. That's why discipline isn't just about success, it's about identity. You become the kind of person who follows through. There will always be resistance when you choose discipline. The mind resists discomfort because it associates effort with pain. But in truth, effort is the birthplace of growth. When you push through resistance, you're not just achieving something external, you're transforming yourself internally. You're proving that your will is stronger than your feelings. That's where real power comes from. Not from being fearless, but from acting in spite of fear. Not from being tireless, but from showing up even when you're exhausted. The disciplined person understands that consistency beats intensity. It's not about doing everything perfectly, it's about doing something consistently. 10 minutes of focused effort daily outweighs hours of scattered effort once in a while. Emotion will tell you to wait until you have more time or better energy. Discipline tells you to start with what you have right now. Progress is built by small, steady movements, the kind that compound silently until one day they create unstoppable momentum. When you train yourself to move regardless of feeling, you unlock a secret most never discover. Your emotions begin to obey your actions. The same mind that once said, "I don't feel like it," starts saying, "This is who I am." You condition yourself to associate action with pride, persistence, and strength. Soon, what was once difficult becomes normal, and what was normal becomes effortless. That's the transformation discipline brings. It reshapes your identity from within. People who rely on emotion often live in cycles of inconsistency. They start strong when they feel inspired, but collapse when that emotion fades. They confuse excitement for commitment. But emotion doesn't last, it fluctuates. Only discipline gives you stability. It gives you control over your destiny because it ensures that you continue to move forward no matter what storms come. You may not control what you feel, but you can always control what you do. And when you control what you do, your life begins to change in measurable ways. There will be moments when discipline feels like punishment. The alarm clock rings before dawn, the work feels endless, and the reward seems distant. But those are the moments that separate the average from the extraordinary. The disciplined person doesn't ask, "How do I feel?" They ask, "What must be done?" And they do it. Emotion looks for ease, discipline looks for excellence. Every time you choose discipline, you pay the price for success in advance. Every time you surrender to emotion, you delay your future for a fleeting comfort. The truth is, discipline creates freedom. It frees you from the chaos of inconsistency and the regret of procrastination. When you are disciplined, you no longer live as a slave to moods or circumstances. You build a foundation of habits that carry you even when your motivation runs out. That's why the most successful people seem unshakable. not because they never feel doubt or fatigue, but because they've trained themselves to act independently of it. They have learned that discipline is the truest form of self-love. It is doing what's necessary to honor your potential, even when it's uncomfortable. If you want to build a life of greatness, stop chasing the feeling and start honoring the commitment. Don't wait for inspiration, create it through consistent action. Force yourself to move when you don't feel like it. Speak when you're afraid, work when you're tired. Each time you do, you strengthen the foundation of your willpower and become the kind of person who can rely on themselves. Emotion may come and go, but discipline endures. And in the end, it's discipline that turns dreams into destiny. There's a myth that courage is something you must feel before you act, that confidence must come first, and only then will you be ready to face your challenges. But the truth is the exact opposite. Courage is not the fuel that starts your journey, it is the reward that appears once you begin. You don't wait for courage, you create it. The moment you take the first step, no matter how small, the energy of movement begins to dissolve fear and give birth to strength. The first step is always the hardest because it demands that you move while still uncertain. Your mind will fill with reasons to delay. You're not ready, it's not the right time, you don't know enough, you might fail. But all those reasons are illusions created by fear. Fear thrives in stillness. It grows stronger when you think too much and act too little. The only way to silence fear is through motion. Once you take action, even the smallest one, fear loses its grip because your focus shifts from what could go wrong to what you can do next. Courage is built through experience, and experience only comes through action. The first step may be awkward, uncomfortable, or even terrifying, but it is also the most important. Every great achievement in history began with someone who took that uncertain step forward. They didn't have all the answers. They didn't know what the future would hold, but they trusted that they would learn along the way. That trust, that willingness to move in the dark, is the essence of courage. When you take the first step, something changes within you. You prove to yourself that fear doesn't own you. You realize that the wall you thought was blocking your path was never real. It was only made of hesitation. Once you cross it, you look back and wonder why you waited so long. Courage doesn't remove fear. It teaches you how to walk with it. It's the voice inside that says, even though I'm afraid, I will still move. Many people spend their lives waiting for confidence to magically appear before they begin pursuing their goals. They imagine that successful people are fearless or naturally brave. But those who accomplish great things are not without fear. They simply refuse to be ruled by it. They understand that courage grows from doing, not from waiting. Every time you act despite fear, you strengthen your ability to face it again. Each small victory builds confidence, and with each step, your courage compounds. Think of the first step as the ignition of a powerful engine. Before you turn the key, nothing moves. But once you start it, energy flows, gears shift, and forward motion becomes inevitable. That's how courage works. It's not waiting at the starting line. It's waiting just past it, ready to meet you once you begin. You won't feel brave at first. Your voice may shake, your hands may tremble, your heart may race, and that's okay. Courage is not the absence of those feelings. It's the decision to keep moving despite them. Fear often disguises itself as logic. It tells you to wait until you have more money, more time, or more knowledge. But those are excuses wearing the mask of reason. The truth is, action brings clarity. Once you take that first step, you begin to see what's actually required. You gain insight, feedback, and momentum. The path that was once hidden starts to reveal itself. Standing still, you can only imagine obstacles in motion. You begin to overcome them. You must accept that fear will never fully disappear. It will whisper at every stage of your growth. But every time you act in its presence, you teach your mind a new lesson. That fear is not fatal, that uncertainty is survivable, and that progress belongs to those who move. Courage becomes easier with repetition because each act of bravery builds a memory of triumph that your brain cannot ignore. One small victory today becomes evidence for tomorrow's confidence. The difference between those who dream and those who achieve is not talent or intelligence. It's the willingness to take the first step when no one guarantees success. The achievers of the world understand that movement precedes mastery. You learn as you go. You grow as you try. Waiting for courage keeps you frozen in thought. Taking action builds it from the inside out. The first step might be messy, imperfect, or clumsy, but perfection is not the goal. Progress is. You can always refine a moving idea, but you can't improve something that never started. Most people never fail because they never begin. They bury their potential under the weight of hesitation, mistaking preparation for progress. But courage demands that you step out before the path feels secure. Only then can the world respond to your movement. Every time you take a step forward, you expand your comfort zone. What once scared you becomes familiar. What once felt impossible becomes routine. This is the hidden power of the first step. It transforms the unknown into the known. You begin to see that courage is not a rare gift given to a few. It is a skill available to anyone willing to move through discomfort. So when fear tells you to wait, remember that courage is waiting for you on the other side of that hesitation. Take the step. Speak the truth. Start the project. Walk into the uncertainty. The strength you seek will rise to meet you only when you move. And one day you will look back with pride, realizing that courage was never something you had to find. It was something you built one brave step at a time. Greatness is never built overnight. The strongest mountains are formed through slow, persistent pressure over time, not sudden explosions. The same is true of success. It's not the grand gestures or rare moments of brilliance that shape a powerful life. It's the small, consistent actions repeated with purpose. Every step you take, no matter how small, carries more power than you can imagine. What feels insignificant today becomes the momentum that carries you tomorrow. Small steps are not signs of weakness, they are the roots of unstoppable strength. Most people overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. They seek instant change, instant results, and instant gratification. But success is not a moment, it's a motion. It builds quietly, almost invisibly, through daily habits, through choices made in silence, through persistence when no one is watching. The person who takes one small step every day will always surpass the one who waits for the perfect time to make a giant leap. Progress loves consistency more than intensity. Every small action compounds. Reading one page may not seem like much, but read one page a day and you've read a book in a month. Exercising for 10 minutes may feel insignificant, but do it daily and your body begins to transform. Saving a small amount each week may feel meaningless, but over time it becomes financial strength. The principle is simple, but profound repetition creates power. When you do something consistently, your effort accumulates into momentum, and momentum creates mastery. Small steps also protect you from overwhelm. When you look at your goals as one massive mountain, it can paralyze you with fear. But when you break that mountain into small, reachable steps, you realize you can climb it one piece at a time. Success becomes manageable. Each small win becomes proof that progress is possible. This proof fuels confidence, and confidence fuels more action. That is how momentum is built, through small victories that grow into unstoppable energy. The truth is, consistency transforms your identity. Every time you follow through, even on a small commitment, you reinforce a message in your mind: I am someone who follows through. That identity becomes a source of pride and power. It changes how you see yourself and what you believe you can accomplish. Discipline begins to feel natural because you've trained yourself to value progress over perfection. You stop chasing massive change overnight and start appreciating the quiet, daily effort that actually transforms your life. There will be days when your progress feels invisible. You'll put in the work and nothing seems to happen. This is the testing ground of growth. The results you seek are building beneath the surface, just like seeds beneath the soil. You can't see their progress, but it's happening. When you stay consistent despite not seeing immediate reward, you prove that your commitment is stronger than your emotions. Most people quit right before their results begin to show because they mistake slow progress for no progress. But the ones who continue step by step eventually experience the breakthrough that others only dream about. Small steps are powerful because they build endurance. Anyone can sprint for a moment, but only the discipline can keep walking long after the excitement fades. The secret of unstoppable people is that they don't rely on bursts of inspiration, they rely on routine. They create systems that carry them through low motivation and difficult days. Even when their energy is low, they take one step forward. And that one step, taken again and again, becomes unstoppable force. Imagine pushing a massive rock at the bottom of a hill. At first it doesn't move. You push and push with little progress. But if you keep applying pressure, eventually it starts to roll, slowly at first, then faster, then with unstoppable speed. That is the power of persistence. Every small action adds weight to your momentum until effort becomes energy and discipline becomes drive. Once the rock is moving, it takes less energy to keep it rolling. The same applies to your life. The beginning requires the most effort, but once you build momentum, it starts carrying you. Small steps also teach patience, and patience teaches wisdom. When you slow down and commit to the process, you begin to see that real success isn't about racing ahead. It's about building something that lasts. You stop chasing shortcuts and start respecting the long game. You learn to enjoy the journey instead of resenting the time it takes. And in that mindset, you find peace. Because each step, no matter how small, becomes a symbol of progress and purpose. Every great achievement is built on a foundation of tiny efforts that once seemed meaningless. The writer who becomes a bestseller wrote 1 page a day. The athlete who becomes a champion trained 1 morning at a time. The entrepreneur who built a company began with 1 small idea acted upon daily. The world only sees the result, but behind every result are thousands of small steps that built an empire of momentum. Don't underestimate the power of your small actions. They are the seeds of transformation. Each time you take a small step, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. 1 step doesn't change your life, but many steps in the same direction certainly will. And when you keep walking long enough, your small steps will merge into an unstoppable force, a momentum so strong that nothing can slow it down. That is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary things, not by 1 giant leap, but by taking small, deliberate steps with relentless consistency. Every person who has ever achieved anything meaningful has walked through the door of failure. It is the unavoidable toll we pay on the road to success. Yet, most people fear failure as if it's a dead end, when in truth it's a detour, a redirection toward growth and mastery. Failure isn't final, it's information. It's life's way of showing you what doesn't work so you can find what does. Those who learn from failure rise, those who fear it remain stuck. The difference isn't in what happens to you, but in how you interpret it. Failure is not a reflection of your worth, it's a reflection of your process. When you fail, it doesn't mean you're incapable. It means your strategy, your timing, or your approach needs refinement. The moment you shift your focus from "I failed" to "I learned," you transform failure from a weight into a weapon. Every setback carries a lesson hidden beneath its discomfort, and the wise understand that lesson is the most valuable part of the journey. The reason most people quit after failing is not because they can't recover, but because they take failure personally. They allow it to define them instead of instruct them. But success is built on resilience, not perfection. The path to any dream is never a straight line. It's a series of rises and falls, wins and losses, lessons and adaptations. Every failure removes a layer of weakness and reveals a layer of strength. It's not punishment, it's preparation. The most powerful people are not those who never fail, but those who fail and keep going. They understand that each time they fall forward. Failure moves them closer to understanding, closer to precision, closer to mastery. They don't waste time resenting mistakes. They mine them for insight. They know that in every failed attempt lies the blueprint for the next success. Each misstep is a mirror that reflects the adjustments needed to improve. Failure is feedback, and feedback is guidance. It's the universe whispering, "This path needs adjustment." But too often, people let pride or fear prevent them from listening. They see mistakes as shameful instead of educational. When you embrace failure as feedback, you open yourself to growth at a level few ever reach. You stop being afraid of trying, because you know that even if you fall short, you'll emerge wiser and stronger. The truth is, failure tests commitment. It asks a simple question: how badly do you want it? Many dream of success, but few are willing to endure the lessons failure demands. The first few failures will sting. They will bruise your ego and challenge your patience. But if you endure them, you'll find that pain transforms into power. Each failure strips away illusions and reveals truth about your strength, your weaknesses, and your resilience. When you adopt the mindset that failure is temporary, you begin to see it as a part of the process, not the end of it. Every skill, every business, every relationship requires trial and error to grow. The first version of anything, whether it's a plan, an idea, or yourself, will rarely be perfect. But each failure refines the next version. You become sharper, wiser, and more capable with each attempt. What once felt impossible becomes manageable because you've learned through experience. Failure also builds humility. It reminds you that you don't have all the answers, and that's a gift. Humility keeps you curious. It keeps you learning. The moment you believe you're beyond failure, you stop growing. Failure keeps you grounded in reality and hungry for progress. It teaches patience, perseverance, and perspective. Without it, success would be shallow and short-lived. You must also understand that failure is evidence of effort. It means you tried something. It means you cared enough to take a risk. Those who never fail are those who never try. Playing safe may protect your pride, but it kills your potential. Taking risks, falling down, and standing back up again, that's how greatness is built. Every scar tells the story of someone who is brave enough to act. When failure comes, and it will, meet it with curiosity instead of criticism. Ask yourself, what did this teach me? What can I do differently next time? What part of me grew stronger because of this? The answers to these questions are more valuable than any short-lived success because they sharpen your character. They prepare you to handle the greater victories that await beyond the lesson. History is filled with stories of people who turned failure into fuel. Every inventor, artist, leader, and dreamer who changed the world failed repeatedly. The difference was they refused to let failure define the end of their story. They saw it as a teacher, not a judge. They didn't lose hope when things went wrong, they gained wisdom. Each setback strengthened their will and deepened their understanding. Failure is a filter. It separates those who merely wish from those who are truly committed. The ones who persist learn that failure doesn't block the path. It is the path. It's the refining fire through which every great success must pass. You cannot build resilience without resistance, and you cannot find success without failure. They are inseparable partners in the dance of progress. So, the next time you fail, don't retreat. Reflect. Don't curse the process, learn from it. Use the feedback. Adjust your approach. Keep moving forward. Every time you rise after falling, you strengthen a part of yourself that cannot be taught in any book or lecture. The unbreakable will to keep going. That willpower, that persistence, is the true mark of success. Failure will visit everyone who dares to aim high, but it doesn't have to stay. Learn from it, grow through it, and let it propel you. Because in the end, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's the foundation of it. Each fall, each mistake, each lesson brings you closer to your purpose, until one day you realize that failure was never there to stop you. It was there to shape you into the person strong enough to win. Every great achievement began as a simple thought. A spark in the mind, a vision of something better, something greater. But thoughts alone are powerless until you act upon them. The world is full of dreamers who never moved beyond the idea stage. They had plans, visions, and desires, but they waited for the right time, the right opportunity, the right feeling. And while they waited, life moved on. Opportunities passed, ideas faded, because no matter how brilliant your thoughts may be without action, they remain nothing more than imagination. Action is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It turns a vision into experience, a plan into progress. You can think endlessly about success, study strategies, visualize outcomes, but none of it matters until you move. You cannot build a house by thinking about it, you must lift the bricks. You cannot change your life by wishing for it, you must take deliberate steps. Action is where the dream becomes tangible. It's where intentions meet results. Many people confuse planning with progress. They believe that thinking about doing something is equal to doing it. But the truth is, thought without action is potential wasted. You can read all the books, attend every seminar, and gather endless information, but until you apply what you know, nothing changes. Knowledge is not power, applied knowledge is. Every time you take action, even imperfect action, you move closer to mastery. The mind learns best through doing. Fear is the enemy of action. It whispers excuses, convincing you to wait until you feel ready. But readiness is an illusion. You become ready through action, not before it. The first step may feel uncertain, but once you take it, you'll feel momentum building. The energy of motion creates confidence. The more you do, the more you believe you can do. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to act despite it. There's magic in movement. The moment you begin, unseen forces align in your favor. People appear to help you, opportunities unfold, and ideas evolve. But none of this happens until you move. The universe responds to action, not intention. You attract what you do, not just what you think. The difference between dreamers and doers is not the quality of their ideas, but their willingness to act on them. Every day, you're presented with two choices: to think about it or to do something about it. The first keeps you comfortable but stagnant. The second may be uncomfortable, but it leads to growth. Action is uncomfortable because it demands effort and risk. It exposes you to failure, judgment, and uncertainty. But those who take action understand that progress is impossible without discomfort. They see action not as a risk, but as a necessity. You can't think your way into a new life. You must act your way into it. Every small action creates a ripple effect. You may not see results immediately, but with persistence, those ripples grow into waves of change. The simple decision to start, to take one step, sets in motion a chain of events that can transform your reality. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year of consistent action. Small, daily effort compounds into greatness. Action also refines your thinking. You may start with one plan, but as you move, you gain insight that you couldn't have discovered through thought alone. Action reveals truth. It shows what works and what doesn't. It provides feedback that no amount of theory can offer. Every experience, success or failure, teaches you something that brings you closer to your goal. The person who acts learns faster than the person who only plans. You must understand that your thoughts are like seeds. They hold infinite potential, but potential alone does not feed you. You must plant, water, and nurture those seeds through effort. The soil of reality only responds to the hand that tills it. Every thought you act upon has the power to create new circumstances, opportunities, and relationships. But if you keep your ideas locked inside your mind, they wither away. The greatest barrier to action is perfectionism. Too many people wait for the perfect idea, the perfect time, or the perfect plan. But perfection never comes. The right time is now. Progress comes from movement, not from waiting. You can always adjust your path, but you cannot correct a journey that never began. Action brings clarity. Once you start, you'll see the next step more clearly. But you must start. Action also breeds respect from others and from yourself. When you follow through on your intentions, you build self-trust. You begin to believe in your own capability. Every time you act on your word, you strengthen your inner power. You prove to yourself that you are not controlled by fear, laziness, or doubt. That self-trust becomes the foundation of confidence and success. The truth is, every person has dreams, but only a few have the discipline to turn them into reality. The world rewards those who do, not those who wait. Your ideas have the power to change your life and maybe even the world, but only if you move. Thinking is preparation, action is transformation. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Create it through movement. The more you do, the more inspired you'll feel. Every empire, invention, and success story started with a simple decision to act. Action breathes life into your purpose. It turns ordinary moments into extraordinary outcomes. You may stumble, you may fail, but with every step you'll grow stronger, wiser, and more capable. In time, the gap between who you are and who you want to be will close, not through thought, but through consistent, courageous action. So, take that first step, no matter how small. Speak when you're afraid. Try when you feel uncertain. Move when you're tempted to wait. Because life rewards movement. Every time you act, you declare to the world and to yourself that your dreams matter. And when you act with faith and persistence, your thoughts will no longer remain wishes. They will become your reality. So, stand tall. Face your fear. Take the first step and then the next. Force yourself to take action even when it hurts, even when it's hard, even when no one believes you can. Because once you move, life moves with you. And when you keep moving, there will come a day when you look back, not with regret, but with pride, knowing that everything changed the moment you decided to act.